Okay then, so I went into my project car inventory and picked out the next thing to work on this fall and this winter, probably, good Lord willing. And that's a 69 Dart 4-door sedan, V8, with the famous 273 V8 engine in it. And I picked this up it's been almost a year and a half ago, I guess, working on a year and a half ago. I went and picked this up. It had been in the barn a long time, and it had been in a carport after that, and it was just really, really, really nasty inside and out, and the motor was stuck on it. And so I thought I'd just basically bought myself a parts car, but the worst thing about it is it had been rear-ended back here on the quarter panel. And most people, I guess, would look at that and say, hey, you don't fix that car. No, not a 4-door. No. But anyway, I'm just strange enough that I like to work on 4-door cars, if they're different. Something like that. I'm not going to work on a 4-door Taurus or something like that, but this is a pretty vintage car. And this car falls squarely into the category that it would make a good, just a driver. Something like that. You know, I have a 68 Plymouth that I'm back on the road now, and I have this one with a different options on it and stuff. So it just keeps things interesting for me. And I have a 2-door also now out there. That'll be hopefully the next one after this one. But this car, for the negatives that it has, really the positives outweigh it, because in my book, because it's power steering, it's got air conditioning, and V8 and all that, so it's a pretty nice car to drive, a little bit nicer than the Plymouth, and it's pretty solid actually. Aside from that damage on the back of it, it's got good 4 pans, it's not rusted, doesn't look like it's ever been wrecked, so it has good bones, I guess you could say. And I got the engine unstuck last year. I guess it was last year I got that thing get this thing running, and it was not stuck because of rust. The carburetor was, I guess the float had hung open on it, or closed, I guess could be open. And it had got a lot of fuel in the engine, so I guess it just basically varnished the rings to the cylinders. And so I soaked it and got it turning and everything, and it ran. But the problem with it, the reason why it's in here, is the engine has to come out of it, because it's got bad freeze plugs, and especially it's got one between the engine and the transmission, which cannot be fixed without either taking the engine or the transmission or both of those out. And I figure since it needs, you know, might as well take them out and evaluate them, see if they're any good. The transmission worked. The engine has been kicking some water out through those freeze plugs, and I don't know if it had water in it at one point or not, so I want to make sure that the thing is not cracked somewhere. If it is, I have to either fix it or get another engine. But really it needs to be out here on the stand so I can look at it, and if the engine passes the inspection, then I'll reseal it, clean it, reseal it, maybe put valve stem seals in it, take the oil pan off, maybe put timing chain on it, we'll see what kind of shape it's in, and I'll water pump and all that and clean it up, spruce it up, and put it back in. So it's just really what you got to do. So anyway, so you probably have guessed by now, if you've been watching close enough, it's gonna have to have a windshield. That's just great. I love windshields. You probably have figured out by now that I took the seats and stuff out of this car and used in the other one, because I needed seats for the other car, and using the door panels also, because the plan is that I'm gonna put this car back together with an all black interior. I don't, you know, this two-tone's pretty nice, but this tan stuff, off-white, doesn't really grow on me, and it's in kind of shape anyway, so go back and have to do all that again on this one. But like I said, the 4 pans are good. Just a little bit of surface, I think that's off the carpet, that's not even rust. So, because I already had this carpet out. This carpet was awful. I don't even know why I put it back in. But there's going to be a lot of things to do on this, because it's got junk up under the dash. You know, it's got rat stuff up under the dash, and it's stunk in here. Still smells kind of bad. So they've had a hard time keeping the critters out of this thing, so it's gonna have to have a deep clean, and probably it's really not that hard to pull the dash out on one of these. So if the windshield needs to come out and be replaced, and that's just when you do that. But that's getting ahead of us. First thing we're gonna do is address the mechanical condition and issues it may have. So anyway, but this is second hand to me. I've been working on these cars a long time, so it's nothing to it. They're easy to work on. And I'll show you the engine. I'm gonna have to go on wasp patrol because they've been flying around in here. That battery's junk. So, but it's all original as far as I can tell, except for the alternator, and I put a fuel pump on it. So a lot of this stuff is just going to have to do what I had to do on the other ones, and that is just kind of spruce things up and rehab it and things like that. So, you know, it's just rough where it is. But anyway, not that bad. Still got all the seals on it and everything. So I don't know how far I'm going to go. I'm going to probably, I really need to go ahead and just pull this engine compartment apart and just go ahead and kind of blow on a little bit of paint. I don't know this time around if I'll do the cheapo way I did and just do it with a spray bomb or what, because I've got to get a compressor. That's in the plans for sure, because when I do that scamp out there, that's the car that everything's going to be done perfectly right on, like Howard perfectly right, old car alley. So we'll see where we get with this. You know, I'm probably gonna have to end up doing it all 100% anyway, I guess. But anyway, yep, got the original radiator, air conditioning, all that. So I'm going to pull this engine and transmission out together, and so kind of add some complexity to this, that they've got the air conditioning in here, because I'm gonna have to navigate that. But I'm gonna get the radiator out, get all the little doodads out of the way, get the accessories off of it, all that. So we'll go from there. But anyway, guys, just wanted to give you a little introduction to what's going to happen here. So I know probably been people wanted to see this thing in action, see some work done on it, and me too. So that other car took a year in here to get it done, and I hope, like everything, that it will not take a year to finish this one up. So first thing is to get the motor and engine and transmission fixed on it and back in and running, so we can move it around, maybe drive it down the road too. Ooh, hey, all right, so let's get busy. Went looking for wasps, and I found them. Right in there. Yeah, see them looking at me? All right, well, I just stocked up on this stuff. Not sure I'm nice and ready to go here. Golly. I'll reload. Oh. Whoa, 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 whoa. Boy. Get out of here. So you gotta float like a butterfly, sting like a, don't say it, don't even say it. Muhammad Ali fighting wasps. Get die. Stuff is cheaper than bug killer too. Yep, that's what you get. All right, let's evaluate the situation here. Here's something. I don't know where he's at though. Okay, it's probably not the only one either. Probably the next one's going to be in the trunk back here. Alright, so we'll deal with that separately. Okay then, so just continuing along on this, taking this old 273 V8 apart piece by piece. So I've been undressing the front of this. Got the radiator out, fan shroud, and starting to work on this stuff here, the air conditioning and the power steering. I'm going to leave the power steering attached to the car, at least for right now. I just really dread taking power steering apart on these because it seems like they never go back together without leaking. And I wasn't looking forward to taking this air conditioning system apart. I was thinking that it might have some gas left in it, and so I was worried about that. I was thinking I may just have to try to, recover the Freon that's in it, but then it didn't have hardly anything in it. And when I turned this thing, I heard this. So, not too worried about it. I'm going to go ahead and take it apart. So everything in here has just got a liberal coating of surface rust on it. All the lines are rusted. So it's just really weathered. You can see how bad that looks there. So probably, I don't think the air conditioning lines are even usable. The steel stuff is, but we'll see. But the other car was the same way. The compressor, this one wasn't locked up. The one on the blue car was locked up. I had to unstick it, but I'm going to carefully take all this apart and all that. I think I'm going to take this engine out. I'm going to just separate it from the transmission and just lift it straight out because I'm afraid that I'm going to bash the distributor trying to take it out the other way with the transmission on, because when you take the transmission out with it, then you have to have it at this steep angle and you have to clear over this core support. I'm just not really feeling like doing that, so I don't think I'm going to do that. This engine bay, this car under the hood everywhere, really, it's just stone stock original. I mean, it's got the original distributor still in it. I checked the number on it. Looks like it's got the original ignition coil still on it. Original compressor. That's original. Looks like it may even had some of the original heater hoses on it, or they still got the original clamps on it back there and up here. Wherever that one's at, there it is. So yeah. So anyway, that's good. That's a good reference for how how it was. If people they restore these things, they restored, I'm sure, probably many more Dart 340s and stuff like that than they ever do a sedan. But if you're ever curious about how they painted one of these engines from the factory, there's been a lot of conjecture about that. People restore them and they think they restore them the right way. They're guessing at it and they don't really do it the right way. But one thing's clear is that they painted these plastic spark plug holders. You can see they clearly have paint in them. So they were painted body color. I mean engine color rather. So okay. So But I'm going to continue, guys, just picking away at this thing, and hopefully maybe by tomorrow or the next day we'll have this little engine ready to pull out of here. This again is a 273 V8. Same thing as a 318 and a 360 for the most part, same exterior wise. The odometer, by the way, shows 68,000 miles on it, and I don't know if that's 68,000 or 168,000. It looks to me like it has definitely 168,000 miles worth of goo on it. All over the place. It is a greasy engine. But you know, that's the thing back then. Engine sealing was not what it is now. Of course, we saw a car, you know, my Toyota out there has got twice that many miles on it, and it doesn't have a drop of oil anywhere on the exterior of the engine. But stuff like this back then, you know, it was just assumed that things were going to weep oil and stuff. So nothing was locked up here. Everything turned okay. The alternator, that's a mutt of an alternator. It's just some aftermarket deal. But the air was not locked up. It's got these two tensioners for the belt, for the air conditioning belt. That one's fairly quiet. I'm probably going to put a bearing in it. But this one over here, it was not locked up, but it's kind of noisy. So I'm just going to leave a bearing put in that. And the water pump is okay. The water pump feels pretty good. A little bit of play, a little bit of play in it, not bad. All right, guys. Well, I think in the interest of not making this too long and drawn out episode by episode, I'm going to end it up for this video here, and I'm just going to go ahead and continue working on this dude. So I'll see you on the next one, and I'm sure looking forward to getting into this thing. Love those A-bodies. Thanks, guys. We'll see you. Bye-bye.